I'm going to show you how to write a big fraction like this into lowest terms. And we're going to be using prime factorization. And I'm going to be using a multiplication chart to solve this problem, as well as this list of prime numbers up to 100. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my two numbers, 576 and 504, and I'm going to do the prime factorization for each one. So for 576, I'm going to refer to the multiplication table here. Look for 576, and this is a 30 by 30 table. But I'm looking for 576, which is, if I just scan row by row, 576 is right here. So I can see that that would be 24. And going this way is 24. So again, 576 is 24 times 24. Now, 24 is not a prime number. So it's not a prime number. It's not in that list. So that means I could break this up again to two numbers. I know 4 times 6 is 24. And in this one, I'm just going to do it different just so you can see it doesn't matter which numbers you pick. As long as these two multiply to give you that, you'll end up with the same numbers no matter what. So this is not prime. That's not prime. I could break these up to 2 times 2. This would be 2 times 3. So that's the prime factorization for 24. And then 3 is prime already. And 8, I could break it down to 2 times 4. And then 4 could break down further to 2 times 2. So you can see here, 24 is 2, 2, 2, 3. So these multiply together is 24. And notice, even though I started this one different, you still end up with the same answer. I get 2, 2, 2, 3. So 2, 2, 2, 3 and 2, 2, 2, 3. Doesn't matter which way you break it up. The prime factorization will always come out to be the same exact prime numbers. So I'm all set with the 576, and I'm going to do 504. Go back to my multiplication table or the chart and look for 504. And what I recommend is just going row by row, because you can see it always increases going this way rather than randomly looking for it. And I find it's much faster to just go like this, looking for 504, and you can see it's right here. So 504 would be 24 again. So 24, and going this way would be 21. So I put that over here. 21 times 24 is 504. And now I'm just going to keep breaking these down. 21 is the same as 3 times 7. And these are both prime, so I'll circle those. 24. I'm going to do it different than these, so you can see that I did 4 times 6 here, 3 times 8. Here I'm going to use 2 and 12 a different way. So you can see I'm still going to end up with 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 in the end. So this is prime, circle it. This is not prime. This will be 4 times 3. 3 is prime, circle it. This is not prime. That breaks down to 2 times 2, which is also prime. So you can see 24, even though I started with 2 and 12, it breaks down to 2, 2, 2, 3 again. So it doesn't matter which way you break up the numbers. The prime factorization for the number will always come out to be the same at the very end, as long as you complete the steps correctly. Next step will be to take my fraction. I'm going to write it down, and I'm going to write down the prime factorization for 576 up here, prime factorization for 504 at the bottom. So make sure the prime factorization for 576, which you come up with here, goes in the correct spots. The common mistake I see is that you'll take this prime factorization, and instead of putting it to represent 576, which is here, they put it in the bottom, and then you take this one and put it on the top. So just be very careful. Make sure you put them in the correct spots. Another common mistake is that all the numbers here, notice that I circled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Make sure that you do end up with 8 numbers here, because another thing is when you transfer the numbers down, you might mess up and drop a number or put repeats. The other mistake I see is that sometimes the students don't circle it. If you don't circle it, you forget which ones are the prime numbers you're supposed to include in here. But if you keep this nice and organized, it makes your work over here easier in the end. And then the other thing I recommend is I tend to put these in order, least to greatest. You don't have to, because the order in which you multiply these doesn't matter, because you always end up with 576. But I just organize it from the smallest to biggest. So I can see I have 2s and 3s, and I have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 2s, and then 2 3s. So you can see here I put a total of 6 2s and 2 3s. And the same idea for 504, my denominator, it breaks down to I have 2, 2, 2, 3. And a 3 and a 7. So I have 3 2s, 2 3s, and a 7. So I have 6 total numbers. So make sure you have 6 in the end. So I have 1, 2, 3 2s. So I'll do 1, 2, 3. I have 2 3s. So 1, 2, and then I have a 7. So always double check that the numbers you have here matches this. The numbers you have here match these. And don't forget, when you multiply all these together, it should equal 504. When you multiply all these together, it should equal 576. And now the fun part, which is to eliminate common factors. So like if you were to ignore all these numbers, if you look at the first set of numbers, 2 over 2, 2 divided by 2 is just equal to 1. So what we're going to do is eliminate the common factors. This is the common factors. We can eliminate it because essentially that has a value of 1. So the 1 is not going to change the value by eliminating it. Same thing here. We can eliminate this pair, this pair. I can eliminate this pair here, another pair of 3s. Those are all my common factors between the numerator and denominator. And again, when we write fractions in lowest terms, that's basically what your goal is to eliminate common factors. And by doing the prime factorization, that's the reason why it becomes easier to simplify, because you're exposing which are the common factors. You eliminate them. And now to get the final answer, whatever is left, if you have multiple factors, you just multiply them back together. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. And be careful here, because a common mistake I saw is like you end up adding it, just going 2, 4, 6. So that's incorrect. Make sure it's 2 times 2, which is 4. And then 4 times 2 is 8. And then over here, I can see the only thing left is a 7. So my final answer, 576 over 504, when you write it in lowest terms, it's 8 over 7. And now we're going to repeat the same exact process for example number 2, 588 divided by 392. We're going to rewrite this into its lowest terms. Remember, lowest terms means we're going to eliminate the common factors between these two numbers. And to make it easier to see what the common factors are is we're going to write the prime factorization of each of these numbers. So for my 588 and my 392, I'm already set it up here. So to figure out what my factors of 588 are, I'm going to go to my multiplication chart, look for 588. So again, I could just scan through here, 588, which I can see is right here. And that would be 28 times 21. And one thing I want to point out is when you are using the chart, be careful, because another mistake I see a lot throughout the day is, you would scan up, and rather than going up to the 28, you might go off and go to 29 or 27 by mistake. So make sure you double check your numbers. So again, this would be here 28, and then 588 would be 21. So 21 times 28. And once you get past that part, you can see that once the numbers, they're going to keep getting smaller and smaller, which it gets easier and easier to break apart into its factors. 21 is 3 times 7. Both of these are prime numbers. 28 would be 4 times 7. 4 is not prime. This one is. So I got to break down the 4 to 2 times 2. And here's my prime factorization for 588. Then my next number is 392. So I'm going to go over here, look for 392, which actually got lucky. Here you go. 392 would be 28 again. And then going this way would be 14. So 28 times 14. So I go back here. So I'm going to put it smallest to biggest order just to keep it simpler. So 14 times 28. And like I said before, once you start breaking it apart, numbers keep getting smaller and smaller, so it gets easier to work with. So 14 is 2 times 7. These are both prime. And this would be 4 times 7. This is prime, this is not, so that becomes 2 times 2. So remember, try to keep this organized and circle your prime numbers so you know which numbers you're going to carry through in your example when you write this down. So again, 588 over 392. My 588, I broke it down to these 5 numbers here. So I'm just going to write it smallest to biggest just because it makes it easier. But again, when you multiply numbers, the order doesn't matter. Whichever way you write it, the answer comes out to be the same. So I'm going to put it in order just because it makes it easier for simplifying here. So I'm going to put 2, 2, 3, 7, 7, 3, 7, 7. And then for 392, it was these 5 numbers. So 2, 2, 2, 7, 7. So 2, 2, 2, 7, 7. And remember, when we're doing lowest terms, you want to eliminate the common factors. So like I mentioned before, we do the prime factorization because it exposes all the common factors. So now, again, 2 divided by 2 is 1. So that's why we eliminate common factors, because it just equals 1. So we'll eliminate these. I have another pair here. And you can see that that's my final answer is going to be 3 over 2, 3 halves.